6 months down the road, Kigali public transport has changed already in a significant way.
Because we needed to change the culture to make this sector professional.
What has been your experience, dealing with the mindset issue involving commuters as the public now?
So we are yet to determine.
Let's talk about quickly innovation, technology, and jobs.
It's something we should be proud of because today we are working with local engineers who are building this solution. So it's homemade. No one was investing in public transport technologies like we are doing today. So it means it creates opportunities for doers, for these young people, young engineers, to come in and offer their services.
Did any of them receive a single car?
Yes, but very few. So very few. The numbers are not significant.
Okay.
Really.
Hello, you're welcome to yet another edition of The Context by The New Times. My name is James Munyaneza, and you're welcome. Now, today's conversation will focus on Rwanda's public transport and urban mobility space. Of course, it's a space that has undergone a lot of changes over the last couple of months, 6 months to be precise. And today we'll be taking stock of how Kigali's public transport sector is being transformed into an efficient, smart, and green sector. With me is Obe Richesha, the CEO of Ecofleet. Now, this is the public company behind these reforms. Not so young in this space, but again, relatively new. Obe, you're welcome on the podcast.
Thank you, James.
And I want to invite our followers to contribute to this conversation, making your voices heard. This is something that should be able to speak to our aspirations as a people, as the commuters, as Kigalians. Therefore, want to welcome you to share your perspectives, your feedback on this conversation, but also generally on this topic, on our public transport sector. You can share on the comment section, but also on different platforms by the New Times. Just to remind you that you can follow this conversation, across different platforms as well, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on the New Times YouTube channel. So, Obe, 6 months down the road, Kigali public transport has changed already in a significant way. Now we have bus lanes, the entire model has changed. The government has literally come back into this space in a big way. I have created these partnerships where you're working with the private players in a very interesting arrangement. Take us through your experience so far as Ecofleet. How has it been for you? For us, we use these buses. We see improvements. We see challenges at the same time as well, but we don't know what is going on behind the scenes. What has been your experience like so far?
Oh, thank you very much. It has been quite a journey. Because I remember when we started 1 year and 2 months ago, thinking about the model that we would put in place, learning from best doers in advanced countries like Singapore, trying to putting their model into our context. It was a bit challenging because no one had expertise in this area here in Rwanda. We crafted the model. We did scenarios, analysis, and we put forward to leadership and stakeholders what we think should be a model that would change, that would improve commuters' experience, basically. So it was, first of all, difficult. It was theoretical. But then when we started in December, quite challenging, logistics, managing different partners, private operators who were already in the space, managing drivers, cultural change, because we needed to change the culture to make this sector professional, starting with drivers. So we did some adjustments during the implementation. The first month we saw an uptick. We saw that there was an appetite from the commuters. They needed. This was long overdue. A service-led public transport, not based on benefits and profits from private operators, but a public transport that respond to the needs of commuters within Kigali. The experience has been good so far. We've seen ridership growth. We've seen even revenue growth, even though today we face challenges, fuel crisis. So far the journey has been good. Obviously, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. We keep improving, we keep discussing, engaging stakeholders.
Now, you've hinted at the issue of mindset and how we needed to change, different stakeholders. You've mentioned the drivers, for instance, drivers who are used to, let's say, come to a bus park and wait for their turn to have passengers on board and then fill up the bus before they can leave. And now your model, you're saying, you call it performance-based, kind of contracting, where you're going to be assessing, measuring performance by time a bus has spent in a specific location or in a specific bus stop, if you like. But also that brings in the business owners themselves. And to them you said, no, not worry, we'll be paying you, but these are your buses and the drivers are your staff. How does that work?
Interesting question. As I said, there were a few challenges and reforms before we came in. And I think all those reforms try to address the recurring issues of responding to the needs of commuters, making public transport affordable, and making sure that the private sector gets their cut. They get their benefits. They're doing business.
Make a profit.
Yeah, make a profit. Otherwise, there's no rational being in this space. If you're not doing business, you don't invest in. So in our model, we changed the model from a net cost contract, which means a private operator brings in a fleet, gets license from RURA, and gets roads or corridors to operate from the city of Kigali. And then they deploy their buses as they wish to maximize their profit. That was the primary driver of private operators. And then we said, if we want to improve, to make this model a service-led public transport, we have to cater for all of this. First of all, we guarantee a certain profit, a certain margin. So the risk is removed from your shoulders. Second, the buses, the fleet, is no longer yours. We use our fleet is Ecofleet fleet, whether it's owned, because we own.
You also own buses?
Yes, we own buses.
Okay.
The government has bought 190 buses that we own and we maintain.
Yeah.
But then the remaining, because we have 330, almost 340 buses today. So it means the remaining is being leased, operating lease. So we rent from these investors. So we say, we pay you to get the buses. That is the first contract. So you bid, we negotiate, we rent your buses. Second contract is now you bid on certain routes and corridors, you go and operate them. We collect the money, and up to us to guarantee the payment on those two contracts. The lease.
So you already you've worked on numbers.
Exactly.
You've looked at the books from their history of their performance, and then you agree. You come to a fee. This is your profit margin, and this is what you're going to be doing. This is what we're going to be doing. Exactly. Who has the drivers?
So the service, there is a leasing contract just for buses, for assets. And there is a service contract. Those who won this service tender are the ones who bring drivers. Okay. So basically, as we provide fleet, we provide fuel and charging. The only operating expense you have today, I mean, for those service providers, is the driver's costs and overheads. Because we are paying you to manage those drivers, and you need maybe managers, inspectors, and you need maybe an MD to manage the company. So we are paying you a certain fee just to provide those drivers, and then we are going to measure how you deliver the service. You perform on those areas, on those routes you were assigned, allocated. That's what we call performance-based contract. We have KPIs and SLAs that we agree during this time, on these days, in this terminal, the headways is this. And then they have to follow that. And then there are incentives and bonuses where we look into the performance and say, okay, you've been doing well, so we can give you this bonus or not. But today, as we don't yet have a fully fledged deployed technology, which we are building and we are testing, it's very difficult to measure those KPIs. The size of the fleet is huge. But tomorrow, what we intend to do is to have this automated, so we can just provide them daily reports or weekly reports on how they are doing. And then at the end of the month, we do reconciliation and we agree.
Yeah. And some of the other decisions that you made, of course, with the other stakeholders, including the Ministry of Infrastructure and other relevant organs, was to say there would be no more bus parks. It's going to be like continuous movement. Buses are going to be on the move, and that must have come also as a shocker for some of the drivers, maybe even some of the commuters, but also the other things that we saw. You came up with like as a way of encouraging the public to take up and to embrace this reform, but by using the public buses, you came up with the parking spaces, park and ride, right?
Yes. Exactly.
And I understand that the uptake has not been very good, as far as that is concerned. What has been your experience, dealing with the mindset issue involving commuters as the public now?
I think could put this in different categories. The first category is people who needed an efficient, reliable public service, bus public transport. And when they saw improvement, reliability, they joined. Because when we look into numbers, in November, we'll look back in November, the numbers were around 150 ridership.
Commuters a day?
Per day.
In Kigali alone?
In Kigali.
Okay.
But there's a certain margin we put there, which is because there's a lot of fraud. So this is what we see in the systems, in the validators machine we have. And today we are talking about 240,000 per day. So it's a combination of people who joined, who embraced the new transport model, but there is also mechanisms that we put in place to curb fraud.
Okay.
So it's that margin is still uncertain to determine. Because we've seen maybe 20 to 30,000 was due to fraud. So we're yet to determine.
So the numbers that were shared around, I think, May, and I think they are talking about 15% increase uptake, like new users of public buses, taking the number from around 200,000 a day to 230 a day. So you're saying may not necessarily be accurate.
Yes, it doesn't mean that maybe in that space we've seen the ridership growth. We need to be careful because these cameras we've put in place, we've installed in buses. I think it's just the first month of monitoring. That's where we see a lot of fraud. So we have to give it time so that we measure exactly what was the impact.
How is that affecting the contract with the service providers now?
Well, today they have a KPI on fair evasion.
Okay.
But today what we are doing, the lever we have is these drivers they provide to us. They have to sign a code of conduct where obviously fraud is not acceptable. And that's where we come into play and say, this guy has been taking money from Ecofleet, from the government, and we don't want to work like that. Because we discussed a lot before we started operations, and sometimes the culture is very difficult to change. So we look into those numbers and establish the portion of fair evasion and the portion of ridership growth. So that is the first category I was talking about. The second category is people who joined bus maybe came from motors, bikes. Others maybe private cars. We still need to measure which portion came from bikes and cars. But there's another category of people who really didn't change their behavior and say they are going to park their cars and join the buses. That's why the park and ride, we didn't see an uptick. But that could be due to different reasons. Maybe people are moving.
People chose to park in their homes.
Or people may think, those park and ride areas are far from where I'm going to drop my kids. I'm dropping my kids on my way to the jobs. I'm not going to come back and take a bus. So it's due to different things. But the intent is going forward, those was like, we are putting those park and rides in outskirts, but how can we improve and have many places and we have it integrated with the bus transport? But also, school transport, school
Yeah,
bus transport
yeah,
is something we need to look into in the future.
Yeah. Speaking of park and ride spaces, we had like three? There were three or two.
There were
There was one around Kwargwahama.
Kwargwahama,
Then I think there was another one, Kahanga.
Yes, there was one Nyamirambo. Nyamirambo.
Yeah. Did any of them receive a single car?
Yes, but very few. So very few. The numbers are not significant, really. So what we saw is, we provided an alternative, but people are choosing otherwise.
So you close them now? Or?
But so we still have them managed with the partners, music, but we don't really think it's a problem for commuters.
Okay. Was there enough consultation, or you think you want to revisit that concept?
Well, yes, there's we did a lot of consultation. We work with the city of Kigali. We work with the Rwanda National Police. We work with ministries. We worked with the Ministry of Sport. We work with Minefra, of course. We report to Minefra, Ecofleet. So we engage stakeholders like security services. Yeah, we consulted, and whenever you want to change something, you have to provide alternatives. Like when we create dedicated bus lanes, what's the alternative? And if people now come massively, can you cater for them? Do you have enough buses? Do you have enough park and rides? So what we provided is, yes, we have alternatives, but people...
Of course, it was also not free of charge, right? The parking was not free.
It was not free of charge. It was not yet integrated with the bus pricing, which we intend to revisit and have it, because there should be an incentive for someone to live.
That's true. That's true. So what would you say? Of course, nobody expected, this model to be perfect immediately or to be 100% successful overnight. But what would you say? What are those, like, 1, 2, 3, what do you call it, like achievements that you would put your fingers to and say, we have achieved this, we've achieved this, we've achieved this. Of course, going forward, we want to build on this to now even achieve more.
Oh, well, interesting question. Number one, when we came in, when we started operations, then promise number one was reliability
of the system.
Yeah. How would the commuter trust that a certain bus is coming to my nearest bus shelter at this time, and when I take it, I get where I want to go at this time? Predictability of the system. So this is something we have started, we monitor, but it's not at the level we wish to be, because our key pillar, strategic pillar to deliver this is technology, the implementation of technology. We have not yet finalized all the aspects, features of the technology we are putting in place. But what we want to have is an integrated system that is going to monitor the whole system. Number one, that is for Ecofleet in the back office and our stakeholders and partners. Number two is commuter facing, how people will be able to consult, to know the schedule, the timetable. We are building a mobile app, but we also want to disseminate the schedule on different platforms, not necessarily a mobile app, but on Google platforms. That is something we are building. The other thing is on bus stops, any commuter should know my bus is coming within 5 or 10 minutes, or is being delayed because of jam, because of ABCD. So that is something we are building. We are not there yet.
You even try to pilot.
Yes, we are still piloting.
That. Okay.
So we piloted a few devices, but we are going to pilot.
Okay. What are the takeaways or learnings from the pilot phase so far?
So That's why we are going to pilot another brand, because it hasn't given us
sufficient information,
yes,
data. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And as we expected.
Okay.
So what we expected was more than what the current devices deployed are giving us. So that's why we're going to pilot others. So that is number one, reliability on technology. The second one, doing this thing, these changes, improvements in 1 month, 6 months, it's not enough, because many people were saying in the media, and you've discussed with other stakeholders who couldn't believe in this model. So they were giving us a few months.
Especially given previous experiences. A lot of new initiatives in the public transport sector.
Yes.
Space had been rolled out, and I was going to come back to that, how you had to deal with this skepticism.
Yeah.
But please proceed on the achievements.
Yes, it's an interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Also, sustainability, financial sustainability is key.
Yeah.
You can't just come in. The government has decided to take this as a public good, to come into this space intentionally, being bold, pushing a new model. So it's not something that has to be taken lightly. You don't come in 1 month like you are testing water and then you can go back. No. This has to be sustainable in the long run. There has to be a visionary approach.
Yeah.
So meaning we need to be sustainable financially. We provide public service, a good public service, we can improve, but sustainably. So what it means is the management of our costs, the management of our revenue is very important.
So that experience itself, in and of itself, is something that you look at it from a positive, because at least now you have an idea, on areas to improve, where to, you talked of cases of fraud, where to tighten, relevant measures. So I think it's been also a learning experience.
Absolutely.
That itself, you're saying, is actually an achievement from where you sit.
Yes.
Okay.
But we think we can go further by having a fleet which doesn't cost a lot to run. Today, we have more than 300 internal combustion engines, engine buses, diesel-powered. And with the fuel hikes in the last few months, this has been a very big hit on our costs. And the tariff is something we don't have control over, so we have to go to RURA, to different stakeholders, to leadership, to request for an appropriate tariff. But at the same time, we have to provide an affordable public transport. So we understand all these. So it's very important that we transition from the ICE buses to EV, electric vehicles, because we know from countries that have put in place EVs or replaced diesel-powered buses, they could slash up to 70% of cost to run the buses. This is huge. This is huge. This completely would change the public transport, the profitability of it, and then we would be able to reinvest in new buses, to invest in new infrastructure, depots and terminals. So that is another point, second point, that all we're doing has to be sustainable. So it's very important. And I'll say we have been successful because we have achieved the transition to EV. The third one, I would say, the ridership in Rwanda, the ridership share, 50% of people in Rwanda, in Kigali, move using NMT, non-motorized transport. So they walk or they use bicycles. The rest is shared between motors, bikes, bodabodas, private cars, and public transport. So the previous studies showed, or surveys, show that motors were around 20 to 25%. And buses were maybe around 10%. In private cars, around 20 or so. So another achievement would be to attract those people from private cars and from bikes to come to the public transport because it has been improved. So it is also something we're going to keep measuring to see the trend, how many people are coming from those other mode of transport. And I think today we are around between 15 or 20% of share, but we intend to go up to 30 and 40 because advanced countries can have up to 50 or more. So those are the three things I would say are very important.
Mm-hmm. And I understand that this is always work in progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In terms of challenges, of course, there are so many. We talked about earlier that skepticism, that this one's going to fail. Also, it's not the first time we've seen this before. We saw lots of different initiatives. Remember the Veil for motorbike guys, and all these kind of different initiatives. So when people saw this, they received it with a pinch of salt, saying, this one, will it last 2 weeks? A month came, it went, another one came and went, and then we are talking about now 6 months.
6 months, yes.
What is that one biggest challenge that you've had to really deal with over this period of 6 months? Not necessarily to mean that you have already fixed it. You maybe still working on it, but the one biggest challenge that you think you've been working on, maybe with some progress, a bit of setbacks once in a while, it happens. Yeah, but which one would you say this is it?
Well, so you are putting it in the when we started operations, but I'll start even earlier because skepticism started before we implemented this model. Meeting all the stakeholders, convincing them that this new model would work was very challenging.
This means bus companies, drivers,
well, some leaders as well, because
or even government.
I mean, not government, but some very important people who were skeptical that maybe this could fail, or we've never tried this. Okay. How are you sure? So it's just convince me enough so that I can go and defend it and be part of the journey. Okay. So it means it took us long presentation proving that this model would work. But it's just a matter of, I need to understand and to embrace this new model, be convinced. So it was just the time. The challenge was the time. Because we were convinced and we wanted to start as soon as possible. Back in July, we wanted to start. July last year. But we started in December. So that was the first aspect. The second aspect was when we started these operations, we discussed a lot with drivers. Because even though we are not managing them on a daily basis, we take them as very important partners.
They are enablers of this.
Enablers. They are the
yeah.
ones commuters are facing. They are the ones who have to talk nicely to customer. Customer service start with them. Incidents, avoid incidents. All this fraud we knew was in the system. We try to run campaigns, discuss with them even before we started, and we thought maybe when we improve means, allowances, things will be smoother. But it hasn't given us the expected results. What we see is drivers' management, because of the culture, is still a challenge. It was a challenge with the previous private operators. Even today, they are still it's still a challenge. So that I would say we need to fix this as soon as possible. We are trying a lot of things, but we are also thinking maybe bringing a new mindset with fresh people who would embrace the new culture. But yeah, that's a big challenge.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty about this. You're speaking as a real technical person,
Yeah, I try to avoid to be a political person.
Yeah, and I think that's what we need to be also realistic. Because also one of the things we saw was early on, we saw politicians making promises. In fact, almost assuring people, we're receiving this number of buses, you're receiving this in the next couple of, we are going digital, or rather, tech. We are going to be able to tell how many minutes do I have before the bus gets to me. And I think also one of the learnings from that is that you have to be realistic as you introduce this new model, this kind of new system, because then that allows for you to deliver on your commitments in good time, and that can only enhance that positive perception. So how are you trying? Because there's also a lot of pressure. So there's always a tendency, or what do you call it, a temptation to promise things that you will not deliver, as you've promised. How are you navigating this? You didn't talk about, but I feel like there's a challenge around that in itself.
Yes, it's a challenge because
also because the dynamics. You look at the global dynamics, fuel crisis, shipments delaying, or all these kind of challenges. I think there are lessons to be learned also, and to be sure that, it is not all about what I have decided myself to do, but there are other factors as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why, it's a challenge. It's for me, of the company or people we work with, because we are working in a private space. Yeah. Ecofleet is a private company which is supposed to do business and be financially sustainable. That is number one. But we have a mandate, a public mandate to deliver services, and that is governed or is led by leaders who have other things. They have a global picture that we don't, macro level, that maybe we leaders at Ecofleet don't have. So I keep jokingly saying that this is a private business. It's a private company, but at the same time we work in the local government, because commuters, whenever they face any challenges in this transport, they report it to local government entities, to the city of Kigali, to the regulator. So you have those aspects or those pressures, but challenging pressures are good, because you don't stay in your comfort zone. You have to keep improving the delivery of service. Yeah, but so far so good. So we've been in this area for 1 year, and we keep pushing. But we understand as well that our view could be narrow, as we are looking into just transport infrastructure buses, and that leaders are facing other pressures, other challenges to continue delivering, even with means that are not enough.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's an interesting perspective coming from you, with the kind of background that you have, which is largely private sector. You also lived in Europe, and you also coming from technology, so you're more of a data driven, evidence based kind of person. And here you were dealing with the bosses who are politicians, who, as you said, will have their own targets and their own pressures and their own goals. But then at the end of the day, you have to be realistic to be sure that what you communicate is actually feasible, is something that is tenable, especially if you're dealing with matters of trust or mistrust. How do you navigate that? I know you're probably trying to, now here you're trying to be a politician.
That's so.
Yeah. But yeah, how has this experience been for you? Because you're in such a very difficult, but of course also privileged from the sense, the perspective of public service position, basically. Yeah, what has been your experience like navigating these different competing factors and forces?
Yeah, well, it's also a learning curve because, as I said previously, my experience for almost previously 18 years was in technology and private led. So you are looking at your customers, how you're improving their life, products, services. That's what you're looking, and you're looking at numbers, what you're getting from it. But in this space, you learn that it's not just about targets, numbers. You are also managing emotions. Even customer in private sector, customers have emotions. You're managing emotions, and there might be bigger targets, bigger goals beyond your scope that at the national level, or maybe geostrategic. You don't have a full picture, like in a company. So it's a learning curve. Sometimes there can be friction because you're bringing your experience. Obviously, you don't learn from day one. I mean, you don't have all the knowledge from day one. But what you are bringing is conflicting, maybe with other views. And then there can be frictions, but you learn to get to know different perspectives, which broaden your knowledge, your view, your perspective, yourself. And you actually, what I would say is it's a learning from my side to know that it's not just about those
Do the politicians, let's say the minister, do they ever come to you and say, "Oh, Obe, we are supposed to, let's say we have a press briefing. What are some of those insights? What numbers can we go by?" Does this happen? Is this the approach, or do they communicate and then you now are forced to work backwards to
that's
to
not
deliver
true.
on what the politicians have promised?
No, that's not true. They follow up quite often. I can tell you, I'm in touch with the different leaders. We also give updates proactively, month after month, what is happening in the system, what we are seeing as patterns, ridership. We provide those snapshot overview or flash reports. We provide those numbers.
And sometimes we've had to say, "Oh, Honorable Minister, this may not be realistic, looking at these other factors, A, B, C, D."
Oh, yeah, sure. But that is in the planning phase or when we want to execute, but not just after communication or being in the media. What we can say is, this country is, we have to think big, but we have achieved a lot of things with minimal resources because of the willingness. People are willing to do more, to achieve greater things. So, yeah, we are ambitious. I am ambitious, ministers, other leaders. You can't be a leader without having ambition to improve things from where they are, from status quo. So obviously they can push you, we push, we push each other. And at some point you can say, okay, realistically, I think we can't achieve this, or we have challenges. But that is
It happens, I think,
everywhere.
Yeah. And I think, to be fair, also, you can have this plan, but because of unforeseen other factors that are beyond your control, you can then come back and say, oh, by the way, we have since revised our targets because of ABCD. I think also communication is very critical.
Absolutely.
Like, an ambiguous, very clear, concise communication is very critical. Let's talk about the bus lanes. With our narrow roads, of course, it's also still maybe in the pilot phase. I think the second phase, if you like. What has been the experience so far? Initially, you would see the motorbike guys, motor or taxi motors struggling to comply, even others as well. But now I've seen they've put windows in the morning, 3 or 4 hour window, even the evening.
Always.
What has been the experience so far?
So the experience has been good, quite good, to be honest, on our perspective. Why? Because first of all, why do we put dedicated bus lanes, and why the leadership is convinced that's a solution for public transport? Because we are not reinventing the wheel. This has been tried and proven its worth in different cities. I can cite London, I can cite Singapore, I can cite many countries, many cities where this has been proven. So there is a problem where people think that jam congestion could be solved only by bigger infrastructure, larger infrastructure, which is not the case. So what we see is whenever you tend to, I can say in Indonesia, for example, a large country, when you invest in infrastructure to make them bigger, actually you are calling for more traffic. You are not resolving the congestion and jam issues. So looking at our roads, our capacity to expand them or to have different modes of transport like light rail or others, you better implement dedicated bus lanes that have proved to be a solution for public transport, but also to reduce jam. So it's like paradox. People tend not to believe in it, but it has been proven actually, because buses are moving quicker and people are joining now buses, public transport, because it has become reliable, it has been fast, convenient. They leave their cars because it has been convenient. As you said, I lived in Europe. How many times would I have needed to use my car? And I've seen many people. How many people? Less than 50% in Europe use private cars. Maybe here, because not everyone has means to afford a car. But it has to be a mindset change that you can get from point A to point C using public transport reliably. There are still some challenges that we are going to fix in the future, but this is a shift that has been proven to be correct in other cities, number one. Second, on compliance level, really, it has been just a few cases where you see motorbikes encroaching or some others encroaching. But with national police, the compliance level, we would say, is very high, even without giving out fines, because today it's a soft enforcement, could be tomorrow a less harder enforcement by giving you SMS, we've seen you encroaching, but they could decide now to give fines. But today, the compliance level is quite interesting. And there might be a few cases, but...
and I think education has played a key role in this. Really.
Education has played a key role.
Yeah. So, so these bus lanes, of course, most of the day, of course, they are being used by everyone else. In terms of the windows, are you foreseeing a 4-hour, twice a day windows remaining the case in the long term, or as more people jump onto buses, use buses, you could revise along the way. And also, of course, given the availability of the fleet, the buses themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, this bus lane implementation, all these other aspects we are seeing in public transport is not just Ecofleet as a sole entity that is going to decide, or that has decided to do this or that. So we consult, we work with the city of Kigali, we work with the Rwanda National Police, we go on site, on field, we take that data, we do surveys, interviews, perceptions, what people think. We consult with leaders in the ministries, in different ministries. So adjustments can be made anytime.
Yeah.
As you said, this was phase 1 pilot. There's phase 2 that is supposed to come in, and adjustment can be made if it's justified.
Yeah, and I think it's also a fact that data shows that people are spending, commuters using buses, they're spending less and less time on the road compared to previously. I think I was reading that one now is able to move from Nyabugogo to Masaka or vice versa within 1 hour.
Yes, well, it
previously
used
used to be 2 hours.
2 hours.
I think Remera along that corridor with dedicated bus lanes again to town, it used to take 1 hour. It's half now, 15.
Exactly.
Rather 30 minutes. So I think there is data to back up your argument. And
sure.
And speaking of data, and also looking at your ambitions, also the government ambitions as well, definitely, to transform the public service, public transport sector and urban mobility in the context of technology, using increasingly digitizing that space. I know there were some timelines that were shared early on, I think around December, or if not Jan this year. Do you have any updates in terms of solid timelines to say this is what we envisage and this is how we envisage to plan to roll it out in terms of making this system smarter, data-driven and all?
Yeah, in the space of technology, for almost 20 years I've been working in this space, and I know projects, timelines depend also on the number of things you want to achieve and the budget you put in place. There are also unforeseeable circumstances, dependencies that sometimes can push a project to be delivered a few days or weeks, sometime later than expected. We've seen it in different projects, infrastructure projects, but in technology projects, it's very common. That's why there is a new way to manage. It has been around for quite some time today, to manage in agile way, meaning what can you deliver, even if it's minimal, but it's at least something that is usable, that is bringing value at that point in time, while you are still working on having a fully fledged solution. Can you give out the mobile app while we are building the digital displays at bus shelters? Or can you give digital displays at bus shelters while you are improving the mobile solution? You are still testing it, and then it can come a few months after. So that is the challenges you deal with when you are managing a technology project. And sometimes service providers may think they've done their job, they are ready to hand over a solution, but you, based on the requirements and the needs, say, no, this is not enough. I can't put this in the public space because it's not at the level that I wish to be in the public space, even though it can still be improved over time, but there is a minimum, there's a threshold that you have to reach before it gets to public space. So that's why it doesn't mean that it was not delivered, but we are not going to take a technology that is not bringing solution, actually. If it's not adding value at this moment, we better postpone it for 1 week, 1 month. It can take even 2 months, but we need to have it ready to be in the public space. So what we are doing today is what we call beta testing. So we are selecting a few people to test these different solutions. Internally, we are testing. Mobile app is being tested by external people. And then when we have that confidence, that comfort, that the solution is mature enough to be in the public space, that's where we be releasing it. There are other aspects of budget, resources, because it doesn't mean that you have the money at the time you start a project. You have a promise that you receive funding, but then you have to negotiate with the different stakeholders. So those are challenges we face, and that's why I would not say, in July you get this, because I don't have that visibility today. We are the final stage of delivering the solutions.
In terms of waiting time at bus stops, do you know how many minutes does somebody have to wait, or how many hours, if you like, for the next bus to reach them?
Yes, that is known and that was communicated. It varies from routes, bus route to bus routes.
Average.
So
in Kigali.
In Kigali, let me say, for example, peak hours and off-peak hours don't have the same headways. And dedicated bus lanes, buses with other where you have mixed traffic don't have the same. So it's very different. There are different categories you would rather separate instead of saying it's average.
Peak hours and then in the course of the day.
So during peak hours, we are saying 5 minutes on dedicated bus lanes routes, and we are saying 15 minutes off peak hours. But there are some routes where you have...
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Okay.
That's what we are monitoring.
Okay.
Using
not the ambition, not the aspiration.
No, not the aspiration. That is what we are monitoring.
Okay.
Meaning the system is helping us a bit, but we have foot soldiers. We have field staff that are there to enforce it. That is something we are monitoring to make sure that we respect that. On other non-dedicated bus lanes corridors, it might go up to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, peak hours, to 20, 30, even 45 in some areas like Gasan's off-peak hours. Yeah, so it varies.
Let's talk about to the last mile. How are you dealing with this? Because, I think that has been a big concern for many Kigalians. Yeah. How are you dealing with that gap?
So that is true. And we know that it's not going to be a straightforward way to solve it, because those access roads, last mile connectivity, there's a lot of things you need to take into account. The bus size. And today we have mostly these mid-range buses. We are talking about 10.5 meters buses. So number one, we need to have buses that can go into those small roads. There is a tender that is likely to be published this month.
Calling on private investors?
Not private investors. This was a donation from the African Development Bank to the government of Rwanda through RTDA, but we're going to be the beneficiaries. So we expect to have around 30 to 40 smaller buses, electric buses, 8 meters. And then we will pilot in some few areas to see how it is solving these last mile connectivity issues. Okay. That's number one. But then it means when we collect enough data.
For clarification, these are the ones that had been originally set for June?
No. In June, we were talking about some buses that are country that would come to Kigali, but then it's negotiation with the private investor.
But that electric is what you're working on now?
Yes.
Okay.
And once finalized, maybe 4 months. Usually it takes 4 to 5 months to order and ship. Okay. That's what we expect.
Talking of later this year?
Yes. So we will collect data and see how it has improved and see if we are solving really this solution. There are even smaller buses, 6 meters. Maybe after collecting information, analyzing, we'll see if we should go for 8 meters only or even smaller buses. That is number one. Second, we are working with the potential partners who have electric cabs, taxis, who are willing to partner with us to provide a full experience, bus plus taxi, but then we have to look at the cost, affordability of it, because if it's not affordable, then it doesn't.
Why not open it up for, of course, it has to still be controlled or managed in a way to people who can invest in buses, private people?
Oh, that is open. When we put out a tender, we don't specify that James is not allowed. It's open. You can do a joint venture. You can say, I can provide 10 buses. You are welcome. Today, we know that there are some private operators or investors who are willing to bring in electric buses. Obviously, you can't put them on Kigali roads without our contracts. So we are willing to lease them.
Okay. So let's talk about quickly innovation, technology, and jobs. How are you creating opportunities, job opportunities for, especially, of course, our young people in your space?
Okay, so there are different aspects. We discussed about the technology, the solutions we want to bring in. It's something new. So it means someone has to build it. And today, it's a privilege, and it's, I would say it's, but based on Rwanda's investment in technology and in the youth, it's something we should be proud of, because today we are working with local providers, local engineers who are building this solution. So it's homemade solution. We didn't buy it on the shelf. So we are building it with the local companies, with the local talent, which means they get exposure, they get upskilled. So that is the first aspect. So no one was investing in public transport technologies like we are doing today. So it means it creates opportunities for doers, for these young people, young engineers, to come in and offer their services. We see also some initiatives from fresh graduates or people who are still doing their bachelor's, willing to bring their expertise or at least to support this initiative. Because we are technology-driven, we are data-driven, as we said, that is true. The other aspect is not in technology, I would say, but we are working with youth volunteers, with the Ministry of Local Government in the city of Kigali, and also interns who did public transport engineers. We are offering them, even though maybe not an employee, a permanent contract, but at least we are working with them because they are helping us, they are supporting us. But some of these youth volunteers have been converted in full employees of Ecofleet. So this shows that we are investing in the youth. We are giving them opportunities, exposure, and we think it can only be bigger going forward.
Any number?
Oh, well, so for example, on the technology side, we are not building it ourselves. It's outsourced to a company, which is not necessarily communicating that they have 10, 12 engineers. So we are working with 114 youth volunteers. So far...
So when you say volunteers, they're working for free?
No, not for free. No. There's a stipend.
Okay.
There's a stipend. Interns also, they get a stipend. They are not working for free. The only thing is you don't have a permanent contract with us, but that could be converted. We've done it with at least 20 to 25 already converted. As we see needs, as we see we have enough resources, we can give them jobs, but at least they get exposed to this public transport ecosystem.
So as we close to conclusion, Arya, you talked about some suspected fraud cases and all. Also broadly, this partnership working with the private operators. Has there been an instance where you this partner, this bus operator or this bus company is violating these commitments, and maybe you have had to terminate their engagement with you? Has that happened?
Oh, well, we faced a few challenges at the beginning, and sometimes when you see conditions are not met, or there are some terms which are bringing maybe misinterpretation, or you are not aligned, because the contract is supposed to be you are fully aligned, you sign. At some point when you see it might go into litigations, which is not something you were wishing at the beginning. So there have been cases where we said this can't work.
So you have had to terminate contracts?
Yes.
How many are we talking about?
No. It was just one, and basically it was not termination and you get out of the system. It was we need to renegotiate and make terms clear so that we don't have.
And you can sanction as well.
We can take some
obviously other measures.
We can take other measures. We are not here to punish or to. We came in to support the private sector, so we are guaranteeing their profit, their margin, but at the same time they have to deliver a certain service. So we can't be lenient and say we're going to be driven by private companies' profits or margin. Or it's a public service; it's service-led, and we have to abide by the KPIs we've set in SLAs. But through discussions and negotiations, we came to have another agreement improved. So that is one. But I was just giving you an example. Then today we are in the review because we had given 6 months, and then we're going to give another 6 months. Why 6 months? Because we wanted to see how they behave, how we work together.
How many companies are talking about?
We are talking about 4 companies for service.
Okay.
And on bus lease we have 6. Today. I think there are six bus providers. So there has been those instances. So we are renewing, we are discussing. Sometimes we see maybe an operator is struggling or a bus leasing company is struggling, maintenance, standards, cleanliness. And then we go back to them. We say, okay, you have to respect this. You have to keep these standards. Otherwise, discussions.
So for country routes, have you done anything on this part as well?
Not yet, not yet. Today we are serving some few upskirts of the city like Vishenyi, Gihara, Shyorongi. I've seen some requests to go to Nyamata, Orgwa Magana. And I know the promise is also to look into urban cities within Musanze, Rubavu,
like secondary cities.
How can we do this? But we are not there yet.
Okay.
Let's fix.
You're also mindful of the fact that you don't want to stretch yourself. You want to basically take on something, have targets, deliver on those targets, and then grow from that, expand and all and all.
Absolutely. Okay. I agree. Because sometimes you can have different targets and then everything is scattered, you are not focused. And people say, so I think we still, we haven't solved the Kigali problem in a sustainable way. So there is technology and EV transitions. Once we have this, we'll have a reliable system, and we are talking about 1 year or two. And then this experience, people were saying maybe this is not going to last more than 1 month. They say, okay, this is working, and it's bringing solutions to the needs that were there, and at the same time, it's sustainable financially. And then it can be expanded.
So from where I see, this is real.
Yeah, this is real. Okay. This is real.
You're fully convinced that
fully convinced
we are building something.
Absolutely. I can't
transformative and revolutionary.
Absolutely. Impactful. This is, this journey, when I started it, I was coming from a technology background space. I knew about transport challenges. It's a challenge to take on, but the impact is huge. If you can deliver on that, you're given resources.
So ideally, where do you see our public transport system in 10 years from now?
Oh, 10 years. That's a big horizon. So I'll say, first of all, we complete this transition. We keep improving the system. And what I believe in is 50% of commuters are using public transport. This is where I see...
that is up from 20%?
Up 15. It was around 10 before we came in. So we think we are now around 20, but we have to double it and even more. And then we see people using public transport as like it's a basic way of moving. Preferred way of transport, mode of transport. This is where I would say we have achieved. We have succeeded in this transformative journey. At the same time, you touched on something we didn't discuss a lot on terminals, gari, because the modern way of moving people is a transit way. You don't need to have these big terminals within the city because it means people are not moving.
That's what we are used to now. Which one to have the biggest taxi bus park around and to modernize and have as many parking lots as
this is also the thinking. Some maybe people think our terminal should be bigger and modern and smarter. And I don't think this is the way. We should have interchange, what we call interchange in different areas. Let's say like Sonatib, people coming from Nyanza are meeting people and they get off the bus because every minute you're seeing a bus, you're on board another bus taking another direction. Nyabugogo, you don't have a big terminal, but you have an interchange there for buses going this direction. You have an interchange in 100 meters. This is the way we should think of modern public transport.
CEO Obi Ruchera, murakoze cyane. Thank you so much for your time, for sharing this experience thus far, Ecofleet and our public transport space. And I want to thank you so much for following this conversation. Once again, I encourage you to share your perspectives, your feedback on the comment section, and see you next time. This once again, is The Context by the New Times.